You'll work 40 years to make $2 million. Jeff Bezos makes that in 90 seconds. But that's not the problem. The problem is, the system is designed to make sure your great-grandchildren will still be poor, while his will own more than entire countries. The next 20 minutes will show you the invisible mechanism. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. 3 weapons protect this. First, your savings lose 3 to 4% per year, while their assets grow 8 to 10%. Mathematical extraction. Second, you pay 40% tax on work. They pay 15% on wealth. Legal theft. Third, your money is trapped in houses and retirement accounts. Theirs moves in 24 hours. Strategic imprisonment. The top 10% own 69%. The system makes sure it stays that way. Here's the blueprint. December 2024. Fed balance sheet, $7.4 trillion. December 2019, $4.1 trillion. They printed $3.3 trillion in 5 years. Where did it go? Not to your bank account, to asset prices. S&P 500 up 80%. Housing up 50%. Your salary? Up 15% if you're lucky. That's not inflation. That's systematic wealth transfer. And it has a name. 18th century economist Richard Cantillon discovered this. New money doesn't spread evenly. It enters through one door. Banks, asset owners, the rich. They buy assets before prices rise. By the time money reaches you through wages, everything costs more. They bought houses at $300,000. You're buying at $450,000. With their inflated money, you're paying their wealth premium, every purchase, every day. 2023. Fed prints money. BlackRock buys 50,000 houses. Cash offers. Above asking. You compete with printed money. You lose. 2024. You can finally afford to buy, but prices are already 30% higher. Congratulations. You just funded BlackRock's portfolio with your extra mortgage payments. For 30 years. That's the Cantillon effect, and you're on the wrong side. Want to know the darkest part? This isn't accidental policy. It's structural design. The Federal Reserve was created in 1913 by banking interests. Not for you, for them. Every time they expand the money supply, asset owners win first. Always. The system was built this way. It's functioning exactly as intended. Your savings account pays 3% interest right now. Sounds reasonable. But real inflation, the prices you actually pay for food, energy, housing, runs closer to 4 to 5%. Your bank account is bleeding value. Slowly, invisibly, every single year. Meanwhile, anyone holding stocks, real estate, commodities is gaining. Automatically, the system rewards ownership and punishes saving. By design. And here's what makes this weapon so effective. It's invisible. You can't see inflation stealing from you day by day. You just notice over years that everything costs more and your money buys less. But by then, the wealth has already transferred from your pocket to their assets. Permanently. That's weapon number 1. Inflation is taxation without legislation, and you can't vote against it. But it gets worse. ProPublica leaked IRS data. 2014 to 2018. Jeff Bezos' wealth grew $99 billion. Taxes paid? $973 million. Effective rate? 0.98%. You paid 20 to 30%. How? He doesn't sell stock. Never triggers capital gains. Instead, he borrows. $10 billion loan against Amazon shares. Tax-free. Lives on that. No income, no taxes. Stock grows. Wealth grows. Tax bill? 0. It's called buy, borrow, die. And it's legal. Here's the playbook. Step 1, buy assets young. Hold forever. Step 2, never sell. Borrow against them instead. Banks give 2% loans against stock. No taxes. Step 3, die. Assets transfer to heirs with stepped-up basis. All gains forgiven. Tax debt erased. Generational wealth preserved. 0 taxes. Ever. You can't do this with salary. This only works with assets. That's why ownership is everything. Income is poverty. This isn't a few billionaires. Top 1% hold 45 trillion in assets. 10 trillion is borrowed against. Tax-free liquidity. That's equivalent to 5 years of federal tax revenue. Just not taxed. You're covering their share through higher income taxes, through inflation, through cuts to services. The tax system isn't broken. It's designed this way. Let me show you the math on your end. You work, you earn a salary, you pay income tax. 22, 24, maybe 32%, depending on your bracket. Then Social Security, 6.2%. Medicare, 1.45%. State tax, another 3 to 10%, depending where you live. By the time you're done, 40 to 50% of your income is gone. The rich? They don't work for money. They own assets, stocks, real estate, businesses. Asset income is taxed at 15 to 20% capital gains, less than half your rate, for doing nothing. And when you do save, when you do invest in your retirement account, you're taxed again when you withdraw. Double taxation. But when they borrow against assets, no taxation. When they die and transfer wealth, stepped-up basis erases the tax. You're taxed twice. They're taxed never. This isn't loophole exploitation. This is the law working as written. For them. Against you. Here's what nobody tells you about the liquidity trap. It's not just that your wealth is locked. It's that locked wealth is designed to be harvested. Your 401k? $7 trillion sitting there. Mutual funds take 1 to 2% fees. Every year. Win or lose. That's $70 to $140 billion annually. Extracted. From locked money you can't touch. The system trapped your wealth, then charges rent on it for 40 years. Your retirement account is their revenue stream. And when crisis hits, you can't access it. 10% penalty plus taxes. Could be 40 to 50% total just to get your own money. The rich sell stocks. No penalty. Buy your house at 50% off. Buy your stocks at 70% off. Liquidity is the weapon that compounds all others. You're trapped. They're free. And every crisis transfers wealth from trapped to liquid. Like clockwork, most people's biggest asset is their house. Congratulations. You own an illiquid box you can't sell without uprooting your entire life. Second biggest asset? Retirement account. Can't touch for decades. You have wealth on paper, but zero access, zero flexibility, zero options. The rich hold stocks, bonds, private equity, sellable in 24 hours. When opportunity comes, they move. When crisis comes, they exit. You watch, paralyzed. That's not bad luck. That's strategic design. Right now. October 2025. Retail investors are piling into AI stocks. Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, all-time highs. But here's what's happening behind the scenes. Institutional investors, the smart money, are rotating out of software and into infrastructure. Power companies, data center REITs, utilities. Why? Because they know something you don't. The AI boom isn't about software, it's about electricity. Microsoft is spending $80 billion on data centers. Google, $50 billion. Amazon, $75 billion. Total, $500 billion in infrastructure over 4 years. Those data centers need power. Massive amounts. Your utility company just raised rates 15%. Because AI is overloading the grid. You're funding their infrastructure with your electric bill every month. While they build assets worth trillions, you pay, they own. This isn't the future. This is happening now. And here's the kill shot. When the AI bubble pops, and history says it will, your Nvidia stock crashes. But their power plants? Still running, still billing you, still generating cash. They own the infrastructure. You own the hype. Crisis transfers wealth from hype to infrastructure, from retail to institutional, from you to them. The pattern never changes, only the narrative does. Bank of America just released a report. AI data centers will increase electricity demand by 15 to 20% over the next 5 years. Your utility bill will rise accordingly. And who owns the utilities? Institutional investors, Pension funds, the top 10%. You're literally paying them monthly to power the AI infrastructure that will replace your job. You're funding your own obsolescence, while they collect the rent. Wait until you hear weapon number 4. This last one will make you angry. But here's the weapon that protects all others: regulatory capture. In 2023, financial industry spent $2.9 billion on lobbying, more than defense, pharma, and oil combined. They're not lobbying for innovation. They're lobbying to protect the 3 weapons. Every capital gains tax proposal, killed; wealth tax, dead on arrival, estate tax, cut from 55% to 40% to effectively 0 with trusts. The system rewrites its own rules. Here's how it works. Goldman Sachs executive becomes Treasury Secretary, makes policy, leaves government, returns to Goldman, $10 million richer. This isn't conspiracy, it's documented. 70% of SEC officials join finance within 5 years of leaving. They regulate their future employers. The revolving door isn't corruption, it's the system. And it ensures the 3 weapons stay legal, stay protected, stay invisible to most people. Steven Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary under Trump, former Goldman Sachs partner. After leaving office, raised $2.5 billion for private equity fund. Gary Gensler, current SEC chair, former Goldman Sachs partner. Timothy Geithner, Treasury Secretary during financial crisis, former president of New York Fed. Went to private equity firm Warburg Pincus, made millions. Robert Rubin, Treasury Secretary under Clinton, Goldman Sachs co-chairman. Went to Citigroup, made $126 million before Citigroup collapsed and got bailed out. The pattern repeats. Every administration, every decade. And when regulation does pass, it's written by industry. Dodd-Frank Act after 2008 crisis. 1,500 pages. Written largely by banking lobbyists. It looks like reform. It functions as protection. Small banks got crushed by compliance costs. Big banks got bigger. Too big to fail became bigger to fail. The regulation protected concentration by design from the inside. So, when you hear politicians talk about taxing the rich, understand what's really happening. The proposals never pass. And when something does pass, it's already been neutered, watered down, full of exceptions. Because the people writing the laws are the same people who will profit from the loopholes. The system doesn't just protect wealth concentration. It actively maintains it, through the legal code, through regulatory agencies, through the revolving door between Wall Street and Washington. This is weapon number 4. And it makes the first 3 weapons permanent. Remember that 69% concentration we started with? It's protected by law, enforced by regulation, maintained by the people who benefit from it. You're not fighting bad policy. You're fighting a system that's working exactly as designed, for them. And the moment you understand this, you stop asking why things don't change. They're not supposed to change. Let me show you this system in action with real numbers from right now. October 2025. S&P 500 is at all-time highs. Unemployment relatively low, GDP growing. Media calls it a strong economy. But let's look at wealth concentration. Federal Reserve data shows the top 10% now own 69.3% of all household wealth, up from 67% in 2020. The bottom 50%, down to 2.8% from 3.2%. During the economic recovery, inequality got worse. The recovery only recovered wealth for people who already had it. And here's why. When the Fed cut rates in 2020 and 2021 to stimulate the economy, who benefited? Asset owners. Low rates pump asset prices. Stocks soared. Real estate soared. If you owned assets, you got rich. If you only had labor, you got inflation. Your rent went up. Your groceries went up. Your gas went up. But your wages? Barely moved. The stimulus checks, the unemployment benefits, all of that got eaten by inflation. The real transfer happened in asset appreciation, and only owners captured that. Current data shows this clearly. Median household net worth for the top 10% is $1.5 million. For the bottom 50%, $12,000, not per person, per household. A used car costs more than the total wealth of half the country, and the gap is widening. Every year, every crisis, every recovery, the math is brutal, and it's accelerating. Now let's talk about what's coming, because the next crisis is already being built. $3 trillion in private credit. Shadow banking. Private equity firms lending to companies with zero regulatory oversight. No stress tests, no capital requirements, no transparency. When one of these loans defaults, it triggers collateral chains across the financial system. We saw this in 2008 with subprime mortgages. Same structure, different asset class, same outcome coming. First Brands Group filed bankruptcy in 2024. Auto parts supplier, financed through private credit. When they collapsed, regional banks holding their debt took losses. Tricolor Auto Group followed. Same pattern. These aren't isolated failures. They're connected through private credit networks that nobody fully maps. Capital Economics warned this could be systemic. The $2 trillion subprime risk of 2025, they called it. And retail investors have no idea. Because this debt isn't traded publicly, it's private, hidden, until it explodes. And when it does, guess what happens? The rich holding liquid assets will exit early, sell before the crash. You, holding illiquid retirement accounts and real estate, will watch your wealth evaporate. Again. Then they'll buy your assets at 50 cents on the dollar. Again. The pattern from 2008 repeats. From dot-com bubble repeats. From every crisis repeats. Wealth transfers from illiquid to liquid. From workers to owners. From you to them. The crisis is the mechanism. And another one is coming. AI infrastructure spending adds another layer of risk. $500 billion over 4 years sounds like growth. But here's the problem. AI revenues don't justify the spending. Companies are investing $400 billion annually in AI infrastructure. AI-generated revenue? About $20 billion. That's a 20-to-1 ratio, spending to revenue. For that to work, AI needs to generate 100 times more revenue than it does now. Is that possible? Maybe. Is it likely in the timeline investors expect? History says no. Dot-com bubble had the same math. Huge infrastructure spending, tiny revenues, promises of future growth, then collapse. 95% of dot-com companies failed. The infrastructure spending was real. The revenue never materialized. Same setup today, different technology, and when this bubble pops, your AI stocks crash. But the people who own the data centers, the power plants, the fiber networks, they still collect rent. From the survivors, from you through your utility bill. From everyone who needs the infrastructure, they own the toll roads, you own the cars. When traffic stops, your car is worthless. Their toll road still has value. Infrastructure always outlives hype. So what do you actually do? You can't change the system, but you can change your position in it. Here are specific tactics. First, stop holding cash beyond emergency funds. 3 to 6 months expenses maximum. Everything else goes into assets. I-bonds currently pay 5.27%. Adjusts with inflation. Tips, Treasury inflation protected securities, same concept. Dividend stocks in consumer staples, utilities, healthcare. Things people need regardless of economy. Real estate if you can afford it. Anything that adjusts with or outpaces inflation. Cash is designed to lose value. Stop holding it. Second, understand the tax code. Section 1031 exchange lets you defer capital gains on real estate indefinitely. Sell one property, buy another, no taxes. Do this forever. Die. Your heirs get stepped-up basis. 0 taxes ever. This is legal. Use it. Roth IRA conversions. Pay tax now at lower rates. Grow tax-free forever. If you're young, this is massive. HSA, Health Savings Account, is triple tax advantaged. Deductible going in, grows tax-free. Withdrawals for medical expenses tax-free. After 65, it's basically another IRA. Max this out every year. These aren't secrets. They're in the tax code. Most people just don't use them. Third, Shift from W-2 income to business income, even a side business, because business income is taxed differently. Home office deduction, vehicle deduction, equipment deduction, internet, phone, software, all deductible. Travel for business meetings, deductible. These deductions don't exist for W-2 workers. An LLC costs a few $100s. The tax savings pay for it in 1 year. This is how the rich reduce their tax burden legally. You can do it too, just requires setup. Fourth, build equity ownership, stock options at your job, profit sharing, equity compensation, real estate equity. Crypto, if you can handle volatility. Anything where you own upside. Income is capped, equity isn't. Your salary has a ceiling. Your equity can 10x, 100x. Most wealth is built through equity, not salary. Your job should fund your equity purchases, not your lifestyle inflation. Every raise, every bonus should go to buying assets. This is the only path from labor income to ownership income. Fifth, liquidity. Keep some assets liquid. Not everything in retirement accounts, not everything in real estate. Some stocks you can sell quickly, some cash for opportunities. Because every crisis creates opportunities, but only if you have liquidity to act. 2008, smart money bought real estate at massive discounts, but only if they had cash available. 2020, same with stocks. Liquidity is power during chaos. Most people have zero. Be different. Will this make you rich? Top 10% rich? Probably not. The system is designed to prevent that, but it will stop you from being systematically robbed. It'll give you inflation protection, tax efficiency, liquidity in crisis, options when others have none. You won't win the game, but you'll stop losing it. And in a rigged game, not losing is success. Here's the reality. 69% of wealth is at the top. That number will probably grow. The 4 weapons ensure it. Inflation transfers wealth to asset owners. The tax code rewards ownership over work. Liquidity traps lock your wealth while theirs stays free. Regulatory capture protects all of it. This system has been refined over decades. It's not changing. Politicians won't save you. Regulation won't save you. The only thing that changes is your understanding and your actions. And here's what they don't want you to know. Once you understand the system, once you see the mechanisms, you can position yourself differently. You can't join the top 10% easily. The barriers are massive. But you can stop being harvested. You can build protection. You can create options. Most people spend 40 years confused about why they can't get ahead. You now know why. That knowledge is a weapon. Use it. The next crisis is coming. Shadow banking will crack. AI bubble will pop. Some black swan event nobody predicts will hit. And when it does, the wealth transfer will accelerate. From trapped to liquid, from poor to rich, from you to them. Unless you've positioned differently, unless you've built liquidity, unless you own assets that survive crisis. The choice is yours. But the clock is ticking. Remember those 3 weapons from the beginning? Inflation, taxes, liquidity traps. They're running right now. Your savings are losing value today. Your income is being taxed at the highest rates. Your retirement account is locked and charging fees. Every day you wait, the system extracts more. This isn't future risk. This is present reality. The transfer is happening now, while you watch, while you work, while you save in all the wrong ways. So here's my question for you. Comment below. Are you going to keep playing by their rules? Or are you going to use their rules against them? Because the system doesn't care which you choose. It profits either way. But one choice leaves you trapped. The other gives you a chance. Most people never get the choice because they never see the cage. You've seen it now. What are you going to do about it? If this made you see something you couldn't unsee, share it. Most people are trapped in this system without knowing why. They think they're not working hard enough, not smart enough, not lucky enough. But it's none of those things. The game is rigged. The math doesn't work. And the only way out is through understanding. Knowledge is the only weapon we have against a system this entrenched. So share the knowledge, arm someone else. Because the more people who see this, the harder it becomes to maintain. And subscribe if you want to see more of this, because the system has more weapons we haven't covered, more mechanisms, more traps. The 69% concentration isn't the end. It's just the visible result. The processes underneath are darker, deeper, and more sophisticated than most people imagine. But they can be understood. They can be mapped. They can be navigated. Stay tuned for that. The top 10% own 69% of everything. The bottom 50% own less than 3%. That gap is protected by inflation, taxes, liquidity traps, and regulatory capture. 4 weapons. You've seen them all now. Most people never will. They'll spend their lives wondering why the game feels rigged. You know why? The question is what you do with that knowledge. Build assets, minimize taxes, stay liquid, and stop playing by rules designed to keep you poor. That's not revolution. That's survival. And survival is the best most of us can do in a system built like this. Now go survive.